Blue Jays today, where you boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, we got to talk about what is next for the Toronto Blue Jays. They go out, they make a big signing to Chris Bassitt. They go out and they get Kevin Kiermaier. But what is that next step? Is it a big trade coming up? Is it another bat addition or a starting pitcher addition? Before we get into it, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, guys. So, we did get a few rumors, or at least some statements by Ross Atkins today, talking about the next step being grabbing a big bat.
Yeah.
But we all know that Ross Atkins sometimes, maybe or maybe not, says exactly what's going to happen next. So let's talk about it, Nick. What do you think is going to happen next? Is that bat more likely going to be the next step for the Blue Jays, getting someone?
Well, I mean, I don't want to go too deep into this tweet because, like, we did actually just reference it in our live stream last night, so definitely check that guys out. But we'll pull it up on the screen so you guys can just take a quick look at it. I think that Ross Atkins has been decently truthful with what he's come out and said. So when he is coming out and saying that we are looking at a left-handed hitter, we are looking at an outfielder, and we could do this via free agency or trade. We're not limited financially speaking. These are all things that we've heard from him before. And I think that he hasn't got it done yet. I think that Kevin Kiermaier was a really good start, and I think that basically what he's saying right now is like, hey, don't be shocked if that's where we end things off. You know, we like Kevin Kiermaier. He's our starting guy right now, but, you know, but don't be completely surprised or shocked if we go out and we get somebody else.
Of course, and you do have to also acknowledge, like, we are still missing a bunch of guys off that bench, right?
Yeah.
No Tapia, no Bradley Zimmer, right? And then Kiermaier replaces Teoscar Hernandez that trade. So you're still missing two benches.
Yes.
2 bench positions. So I think adding offensively, I don't think that necessarily means we're going to go get the big bat. We're going to go get someone who's going to bat with an 800 OPS and closing in on 300 batting average. We're going to go get help offensively, you know, because we need more depth on that bench.
I do tend to agree with you right there, and losing out on those 2 bench bats, like, it's not a major loss. It's not like we're going to walk into the season and be like, oh, darn, we didn't re-sign Bradley Zimmer. But you might start to notice it come June or come July when injuries are adding up and there's no Springer and there's no Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and you're like, oh, crap, who's actually going to play baseball for us? So looking at what he's saying and looking what I think this team needs, I do believe that going out and acquiring a bench bat is important. Now, we have a guy up here right now that we wanted to show you guys, kind of showcase and just, I guess, indicate our interest in him, and that he might make a lot of sense. This is David Peralta. He's a left-handed hitter. He's 35 years old right now, so the boy has been around. He's got great career numbers, and he's got decent last season numbers. You know, decent for what he is, a bench bat.
Good.
You know, a bench bat.
Dude, look at that OPS of 796.
Yeah.
That's something to scoff at, folks. And, like, that coming off the bench, being that, like, 4th outfielder, right? That's really, really good. And he is a lefty, so everything fits here as well. And, I mean, Ross Atkins, he's all talking about improving the defense and preventing runs. He can also help out with that, like, a much bigger improvement over a Ramel Tapia with the bat and with the defense, because Tapia wasn't the best defensively. So this actually makes a ton of sense, and I think we both agree this would probably be the next move, ideally, in Ross Atkins' mind. Do you think so?
I agree with you. Yeah, I do think that this makes a whole lot of sense, and I'm turning myself onto the signing. Like, when I first heard the name David Peralta, I'm like, oh, like another old guy to come in here and just like stink it up. I don't think he's gonna do that, man. I just think that those were some biases that I had, but like I've educated myself on some David Peralta, and he looks pretty damn good. So looking at what Ross Atkins is saying, this makes a lot of sense. When he is talking about the trade market, though, because this has been a conversation that's been going on for a while. This is also a tweet that we referenced last night in our live stream, so check that out. But catchers, the market is exceptionally strong. Now, he also has come out and said that they're totally comfortable keeping all 3. Where are you at right now with this whole catching trade thing? Is that actually what's next for the Toronto Blue Jays? Because if we don't go and we get a David Peralta, do we then do the the Varsho thing. Do we go and we get that guy? Like, is that what's next for us?
For me, it feels like they're almost kind of forcing the agenda or forcing the narrative. They're like, oh, we gotta go make a trade. But I'm kind of leaning more on the perspective of, what if we do start the season with all 3 catchers? Can we make that work where maybe Moreno plays a bit of outfield like we saw right at the end of September last year? I think and plus, what if there's an injury? What if there's underperformance? You have those guys to step in and can help out the ball team. So for me, I think if you grab someone like a David Peralta, right, helps defensively, good offensive bat too, and then you have Kevin Kiermaier, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Springer, and Whit Merrifield too. That's your outfield. I feel like the trade doesn't need to be forced, because then you're going to get some guys losing playing time where you don't have to go through all that or make that big trade. So I think the trade is becoming less likely by the hour, by the day.
Dude, we proposed this on the live stream last night again, guys, and this kind of blew my freaking mind. We've been talking about Dalton Varsho. We've been looking at him. His eligibility is outfielder and catcher.
Right.
He's literally what we could make Gabriel Moreno.
Exactly.
We could just turn Gabriel Moreno into Dalton Varsho. Everybody's saying, oh, you know what? Let's trade Moreno and let's trade some pieces for Dalton Varsho. Why don't we just make Gabriel Moreno our Dalton Varsho?
And sure, there's going to be a learning curve, but like anything in life, you're young enough.
You're young enough that you can do it. Yes.
You can go do it. And he's athletic enough. We know the athletic ability. It just makes a ton of sense. So for me, the next step, I honestly don't think we're going to be trading a catcher. I'm kind of leaning on that more than the other.
I think that his comments right there are saying the door's still open. We're still willing to get a great deal. We will still trade one of these if you're offering us Brian Reynolds and some stuff, right? Like, that's still available. But from our standpoint, we're not going to force the bag. Right. So I think what really needs to come next is you need to sit down and have a conversation with Gabriel Moreno and say, hey, buddy, like, how do you feel about maybe giving up the backstop position and trying some other stuff out?
Right.
Because he's young enough, because he's a prospect, he should say yes, and it should all work out.
Exactly, because we know young prospects, they'll do anything to get in the lineup. Because he's not stupid. He knows the situation. So I think, of course, he would say yes. I mean, he's not going to lose the ability of being a catcher. I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Now, this one in the title, we have, do we also make an extension of some sort?
And this is pure speculation.
This is all speculation.
Part, guys. Like, this is where, because at the end of the day, this conversation needs to be had. They're not necessarily talking about it. Now, they've come out and they've said it's like, hey, like, obviously we want them on our team and blah, blah, blah. And those talks will happen when they need to be had. Is the time now to have those talks? Do we need to be having those talks right now? And to also kind of preface this, I heard from Rafael Devers' camp that he's pretty confident he's going to be a free agent.
Yeah.
He's got 1 year left, and he's literally saying now, I'm going to be a free agent.
Yeah, I saw another word to describe their contract deal conversation. They used the word galaxies apart.
Yes.
Galaxies apart. So I don't want to get into a situation where the Toronto Blue Jays are galaxies apart in that talk. So I personally think the conversation should have happened years ago.
Right.
I think it should have happened after 2021. You could make an argument, the price was high. But now he had a little bit of a down year for Guerrero. You're going to be lowballing him. I think Guerrero knows he's going to be worth more. So, it doesn't feel right either to be doing this. I think you just got to pay the man what he's worth.
Yeah.
Right? Which is going to be in the $300 million range.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, and just do it now so you don't find yourself in this awkward position that Boston's in, right? Where it's like, oh my gosh, like, if he's saying that now, we probably got to trade him. We probably got to trade him, right? Can you imagine 2 years from now, our podcasts have changed to, who are we trading Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to? Like,
Vladdy wants out.
Exactly. Like, shit. I don't want to get to that situation, So even though that might not actually be what's coming next, I think that it definitely needs to be on the radar of this management because, again, like, they are going to fumble the bag hardcore if they do what Boston's doing.
Yeah, and you know what? Last year, I guess you could also say the CBT lockout happened. They didn't have time to talk to Vladdy.
Yeah.
And it looks like this offseason, not just the Toronto Blue Jays, but a lot of MLB teams are getting those deals done early. Maybe it's to make up some of these times to, like, work on their roster management. But, I mean, I would hope that come in 2023, January, February, those conversations are starting to emerge with extending Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, some people might say, well, what about Bo Bichette? I think that would be...
One at a time, man.
One at a time.
We got to go one at a time.
Give me Vladdy. He's already won the Gold Glove. He's already had an MVP type year. That's the guy that I want to offer.
Literally, exactly. And like that is the player that we can anchor our team around for hopefully a decade if all goes right and he stays healthy. But you need to do it soon. So to recap, Blue Jays, what's next? Probably going after a bench bat.
Yeah.
Hopefully looking at Gabriel Moreno and saying, hey, buddy, we want you in the lineup. Where can we play you? What are you willing to do? And third, ideally, having the conversations with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in his camp about, okay, what is the actual realistic number so that we can start coming around to that and planning for the future.
Absolutely. Guys, let us know in the comments down below what you thought about our thoughts right here on those subject matters. And please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. $3 a month to become a Patreon. Shout out thank you to all of our current Patreon members. You guys are absolutely awesome.
Thank you so much for watching.
And go Jays, go!